Welcome to the Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday. Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Quad Bennett Mardi Gras. Happy Mardi Gras. Heat, how's it going? I'm be honest, I didn't know Mardi Gras was today either. However, I did see stuff at the grocery store. Not bad yourself. I'm hanging in there. Thank you for the tier 1 sub for 31 months. Thank you for the support. I appreciate that. 31 months. That's wild. I really want to try a king cake. What is a king cake? I mean, like, I saw a lot of different sweets. Ooh. Excuse me. I saw a lot of different sweets in the at the grocery store. I've been paying to be your friend for a long time, dude. True. It's this traditional sweetbread thing. Gotcha. With a baby inside. Wow. Folks, don't forget. Okay, a couple of things before we start. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure that you, if you're on the YouTube, you like the stream and all that awesome stuff. Spread the word far and wide. We are here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, join the Discord, okay? Not this Saturday, not this upcoming Saturday, but the next Saturday. That's right. It'll be here before you know it. Not this coming Saturday, but the next one is movie night. That's right, folks. I gotta start promoting the I gotta start promoting the movie night, so people can start voting. I gotta do that poll again. And of course, if you also want to support the channel while wearing some cool swag, check out the merch store. I'm gonna put my phone to charge and we'll get started. Actually, we can't get started without my sparkling water. Sorry, that's just like non-negotiable. Give me a second, folks. Did you get a drink yet? No, I'm heading that way. I'm heading that way. See, I didn't think about that. I didn't think that one through. The stream cannot start without the sparkling water, okay? Hold on. I have a Mountain Dew Zero Spark. You know, I have like a stash. I have a stash of drinks in like a small little portable refrigerator. And like that refrigerator you can take with you. Um, you can take with you by just plugging it into like the car, the car power supply. um, or you can just plug it into the regular outlet. And I always have a stash of a mix of sparkling water. Okay. So, we also have a stash of sparkling water and Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Okay, because that's how we do it. There we go. Sorry about that. For some reason, I don't know, the microphone went dead there. But yeah, Mountain Dew Baja Blast, zero sugar Baja Blast, and sparkling water. The only issue with the Baja Blast, the only issue with the Baja Blast is that it's got a lot of caffeine in it. Okay, so you gotta drink that with caution. Okay, like you can't be drinking that like at 6 o'clock. Okay, like if I drank the Baja Blast right now, I'm not going to sleep. Okay. Of regular Baja Blast, but the diet is black. This isn't diet Baja Blast. This is zero sugar. There's a difference, apparently. Okay. Apparently. And that's not the only issue with Baja Blast. You know what I mean, okay? If if I'm drinking soda, it's not for the health reasons. There isn't a difference? I thought there was for some reason. I don't know. It's a jab. Sleep is for the weak. True. True. Welcome. I just misnamed Baja Blast Zero. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I thought there was supposedly a difference. I really thought there was supposedly a difference. Because I mean, like, why would they call one like diet? Like, for example, there's a difference between zero Coke Zero and Diet Coke. Throwing you a curveball. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like an avid soda drinker, so. All right, let's do some entertaining news before we get started.
President a fan of The Daily Show?
Oh, not expecting that. I would have to ask him.
Last night, Jon Stewart returned to The Daily Show after 9 years, and in the process, pissed some people off. So, in this video, I'm going to go over some of those individuals, some of their commentary, including from the Rolling Stone all the way to Fox News. It is a large swath of stupidity to share in this video. First, I want to discuss, just broadly, it was great to see Jon Stewart return to The Daily Show. It was the first time I had really watched the show, like an entire episode since.
Supposedly a lot of liberals got really butthurt. Supposedly a lot of liberals got really big mad. Because I mean, I didn't watch the clip. but from what I was seeing on, the discourse, uh, apparently a lot of liberals got big mad, because Jon Stewart, called Joe Biden old, apparently. Yeah.
And Trevor Noah first took over. Jon Stewart was just better. So his return really felt like he had never left, and he has a way of discussing these issues, of breaking them down, of the performance is a lot of it.
Well, they should find a better candidate if they don't want to be so butthurt. Yeah. Well, maybe they didn't want to. Arguably the most electable man of the three. Honestly, listen, Jon Stewart has had some takes, okay? But in comparison, I would rather, okay, we're we're making decisions here, so I would rather have Jon Stewart than Joe Biden, okay?
No one else quite does as well. And, yes, part of it is because he was doing it for so long, and there is a certain format that he helped to create while he was on The Daily Show. Another part of it is that he's just very talented. So he's able to discuss these issues and do it in a way where he is speaking from a place of authenticity. Let's first hit on this. So I want to be clear here. YouTube may cut this out. So Comedy Central can be notorious for copyright strikes. If they copyright strike this, I'll have to cut this out of the video. Even though this is fair use, I'm discussing this short clip here. It is fair use. I can do this.
Yeah, 20 seconds. I can see the timestamp. Okay, if we're seriously freaking claiming, what is it, copyright claiming for 20 seconds? That's absurd. Okay, I can see the little timestamp. I can see a little timestamp from here on the Twitter video. It's 20 seconds. If you get freaking copyright claimed for 20 seconds, that's some BS, okay? The episode is how long is the episode? 30 minutes or an hour? I don't remember. Anyways, Blue Brother, welcome.
But massive corporation versus individual, I'm not going to win that battle. So if I have to cut the clip out, I will. Besides, if you're here, you should have already watched the full episode. It's on YouTube. You can go watch it. But I just want to share that this was a great moment. If I have any criticism of last night's episode, it's that there wasn't more of this. I hope in the future, and I expect Jon Stewart will dive deeper into this topic. But
45 minutes? Gotcha.
This was a good moment.
By the way, the response in Gaza has been over the top. I like how Biden describes Israel's incessant bombing of civilians the same way my mother talks about the Super Bowl halftime show. It was a little much.
Fantastic. So I hope that is included in my full video. If not, again, just go watch the full segment. It's on YouTube. You can go find it. But this is where we get to the criticism. So this chunk, the first 20 minutes, was really dedicated to Joe Biden and Donald.
Shoot, will I get copyright claimed? Oh man, I didn't think about that because I can't show any of the Jon Stewart clips.
Trump, essentially the election. And as Daily Show writes here, Jon Stewart kicks off the Daily Show's election coverage with a wellness check on America's two chronologically challenged candidates, Joe Biden.
Chronologically challenged candidates.
Biden and Donald Trump. Now, before I get to some of the insane reaction to this segment, I want to show you what the White House said about Jon Stewart's return.
Is the president a fan of The Daily Show?
Yeah, press is really asking. The press is really asking the tough questions, huh?
Oh, not expecting that. I would have to ask him.
Did he watch Jon Stewart last night?
Sounds like you did, Jeff. Was it good?
He was pretty critical of the president
Oh,
as well as
really?
the former president. And I guess my question is,
He said this about President Biden.
He was critical of both.
Okay, got. Oh, you said as well as the former. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so Karine Jean-Pierre seems a little surprised that Jon Stewart was critical of the president. This, look, I'll get to more of the reactions in a bit here, but this idea that anyone at all should be surprised that Jon Stewart is criticizing a current president should maybe go back and watch some Jon Stewart, because this is what he has been doing his entire life. He criticizes people in power, people who are trying to attain power, the media, and it all comes from a place of authenticity and just fact-based reality. So anyone annoyed or surprised by that, you don't know who Jon Stewart is. This is what he has been doing forever. Now, I want to get to this. This honestly may be the dumbest reaction I've seen, and we're going to get to a lot of dumb reactions. But this may be the dumbest. This is from Fox News.
Do you think The Daily Show decided to do this because Greg's show's doing so well?
What? This is wild. Like, just that opening statement is absurd. Yeah, dude. Jon Stewart was looking at Gutfeld. Was looking at Gutfeld's ratings and was like, "Yeah, you know what? I gotta come back." Do you mind to enlighten me about what you're currently discussing? Honestly, this is more for entertainment. Before we get into the nitty gritty. But essentially what we're discussing is Jon Stewart, who is a popular political commentator who used to have a show where he would kind of do like news and political commentary, but from the framework of like a comedian. And he would always essentially like, you know, do bits on current events and things like that. And he was out of the game for a long time, and now he's returned. And he's returned to his former show, The Daily Show, and he just finished or aired his first episode. So we're discussing the reactions to that. That guy's not funny. No, Gutfeld? No, Gutfeld! Yeah, so, apparently, how egotistical do you have to be that you look at Gutfeld, that your immediate thought process is like, oh yeah, the reason why that guy came back is because he looked at us. And had to come. He looked at our ratings or something like that. Bro, relax. Yesterday's show was so good. Oh man, I guess I do have to watch it somehow, some way.
This honestly may be the dumbest reaction I've seen, and we're going to get to a lot of dumb reactions. But this may be the dumbest. This is from Fox News.
Do you think The Daily Show decided to do this because Greg's show's doing so well?
Absolutely. I definitely think that's one of the factors.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I was watching the Emmy Awards recently, and Gutfeld was left off the list, where he's besting these people not only in writing, but rating.
America's newsroom.
Oh my God. Jon Stewart returned to The Daily Show and criticized Joe Biden, the president, because Gutfeld, the popularity of Gutfeld on Fox News. That's one hell of a take. Now,
hi, I'm Nicole Hockley.
Completely divorced from reality, by the way.
I know this is hard to hear, but it's important.
I don't know the rating situation. It's very possible that Gutfeld is doing the best in the ratings. Do you know why that is? Not to offend anybody here. Again, older people watch TV. Younger people don't. The people that still watch late night, I'm sorry, if you still watch late night every night, this is not... Again, I don't mean offense by this, but you are likely 60 plus.
Whoa!
I don't mean you're even old.
David!
But
I'm kidding, I don't watch late night. It's on Paramount Plus. Got it. Gutfeld is supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be. If you have a warped version of what funny is supposed to mean, then yes. If you have a completely upside down definition of what funny is, then yes. then yes, I suppose Gutfeld would be funny.
This, my last video, or when I first mentioned Jon Stewart returning to the Daily Show, I jokingly said he was elderly. He's 61 years old. Oh man, the comments on that video from the elderly were really, really pissed at me. I at some point I hope to be in my 60s or 70s or 80s. So I don't mean to offend, but I'm just saying the generations that used to watch late night, they're not doing that anymore. The young generations, they're on TikTok, they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram stories, they're online. They're not watching late night comedy shows, except maybe for Jon Stewart now. At least I am. So this idea that Gutfeld is this big deal, I'm sorry, Fox News, not the case. Let's get to the other reaction though. So this is, I'm trying to think of how to frame this, because
average Fox's viewers in their 60s, that's just facts. True.
There is MAGA, right? MAGA is the right, the Trump cultists. Then there are people who are Biden cultists, for lack of a better term here, that are really bothered that Jon Stewart is willing to criticize the Democratic Party or Democratic politicians or a Democratic president, which again is not new for him, but these people think this is a terrible approach. So here is the Rolling Stone with their headline: Is Jon Stewart still the right person to host the Daily Show?
Wow, dude. Like, imagine rolling out that headline, okay? Big mad. Big bad. It looks like the Daily Show, YouTube has 3 segments uploaded 18 hours ago that add up to the runtime of the whole show. Huh. Nice. Rolling Stones is crap. Definitely this article is. Talking about being detached from reality, the Young Turks regularly publish interviews from Trump rallies. Shall I laugh or cry when watching? I'll probably never decide. Well, I mean, you can just go online and see what's going on, Like, just, you don't even have to, like, if you really want to know what these people think, just talk to them, okay? You'll see. It's not a secret. They are increasingly detached from reality. Like, it's not just like a fringe element anymore. It's a big part. It's a big part, and unfortunately, as time has gone on since Trump's presidency, these people have only become more detached from reality. And to kind of piggyback off your comment, at first it was funny. Now it's just freaking scary, man. Now it's just freaking scary. Like, it's 2024, man. If you're still on, like, election denialism, I don't know.
The comedy vet makes his return to the desk he left in 2015 this evening, but his both sides are equally bad approach may not translate to 2024. That is not his approach. His approach has never been both sides are equally bad. His approach is, hey, what is objective reality? Let's make some comedy out of this to better educate you. That's his approach. If you're offended by objective reality, then I'm sorry, there is no helping you. But this idea that Jon Stewart would be able to even... You cannot be satirical unless you are willing to acknowledge reality. Your comedy will not be funny if you ignore facts. This is why The Onion is so hilarious, because The Onion is able to recognize objective reality and turn that into satire. That is why Jon Stewart is hilarious. You cannot be funny, at least in the context of satire, if you are ignoring facts, ignoring reality. So Jon Stewart basically, again, this is the first episode. The first episode.
Yeah, like, imagine being big mad because Jon Stewart is, like, criticizing Joe Biden, and, like, Jon Stewart is like a lib. Jon Stewart is a lib. Okay?
laying down the foundation here to discuss the election, acknowledging the obvious, how both of these candidates are incredibly old, and that is an issue. It's simply laying that foundation and acknowledging reality. It is no, people are, what I'm maybe most surprised by is that people assume this one episode is going to be the entirety of the year of Jon Stewart on, you know, again, he's only on Monday nights with The Daily Show. This is going to be his commentary every single week. No, this was laying the foundation for the election. He's going to build upon that. And even if you watch the full episode last night, my takeaway was not that he is criticizing both sides. My takeaway was that he is acknowledging reality, which includes criticisms of both sides. But it was very clear. I mean, when he criticized Trump, it was very clear the things that he brought up with Trump were much worse than Biden's mental gaffes. So, like, people need to put a little more, I'm forgetting the word here. No, I'm having a Joe Biden moment. A little more trust in the viewer to be able to discern the differences here between the two candidates. So this is where we get to some of the reactions.
Just came from watching Hassan's critique of Jon Stewart's show. What? He was like watching it on stream? Or was he just talking about it? I'm curious. Follow-up question, what was his criticisms of the show?
So Mediaite here with their headline, Jon Stewart ignites liberal viewers aghast. He'd criticize Biden and Trump ages. So credit here to Zachary Lehman, because I'm going to pull some of the tweets out that he used in his article, like this one. So before I even get to this, some of the criticisms are just people that you would have never heard of. People that may not even be real people. So I'm only using two of those clowns. Again, people that may not even be real people. It's Twitter. Who the hell knows at this point? There are two others, though, that are real people that do have more of a following in Democratic circles that I'm going to use here. But it's just important to point out that a lot of this reaction from so-called Biden cultists, that I am so calling them, may just be completely manufactured because we don't know who the people are. But this gets to...
Watching it and commenting on the fly, he's not very happy. But like, what are the criticisms?
Some of the sentiment you're seeing online. Jon Stewart complaining that 2024 is two old guys again is like me complaining that it's two white guys again. It misses the point and minimizes the stakes. It really appears here that Mr.
That sounds like a straw man. Or not a straw man, yeah, that sounds like a straw man.
Robinson completely missed the point himself in watching or not watching the segment as a person or not real person. Here is some a quote from the segment, the first 20 minutes. Jon Stewart saying here, "What's crazy is thinking that we are the ones as voters who must silence concerns and criticisms. It is the candidate's job to assuage concerns, not the voter's job not to mention them." This also goes to a very important point. Jon Stewart has the ear of politicians. He has a platform and a voice that actually reaches the mainstream in a way that very few do. Democratic...
I thought this was supposed to be a light segment. It is. Somewhat. You know, I also hear cats are excellent cuddle buddies, and cats will sit on you and warm you up. Easy cheap jokes. There was one joke that was tangentially making fun of an older gay guy. I didn't see much. I guess I'll have to watch it myself.
Politicians are willing to listen to him in a way that they will not with many others who are willing to criticize them. So when you have a platform the way that Jon Stewart does, and the ability or the voice that actually reaches the ears of people in power, it would be malpractice not to utilize that to criticize those people publicly. Because what Jon Stewart here is doing is telling Democrats, hey, get your shit together, because there are clearly some issues that you need to clean up. And if they're not cleaned up, there's going to be a problem come the election. And it is not on the fault of the voters for not being willing to ignore your problems. It is the fault of you for not making those changes.
Right, which is what I said. That's exactly my argument. The problem is that Trump's convinced so many people that his lie is true. Just tell them the lie enough times and they'll eventually believe it. Yeah. These are cultists. It's the definition of a cult. With Trump as their leader, unfortunately, the largest cult in history of mankind. Yeah, I don't know if Trump's the largest cult history. The largest cult in history. I actually don't know if that's true. But, yeah. The joke was about being 88 and being able to legally drink and drive, which I guess is a swipe at Paul Pelosi. Really? Maybe. I couldn't tell you, Conscious Canuck. I was the one asking. So yeah, I mean, maybe that's true. I'll have to watch it. I'll have to watch it. The largest cult would be Christianity. True, 100%. That makes more sense. That's what Hassan said. Gotcha.
This was one of the ultimate points, and I'll get to another point, great point he made at the end of this video. But this was one of the big takeaways here. And again, understanding Jon Stewart is in a unique position, which is why it's important that he uses his voice in this way. Another hilarious reaction here. This is from Tim. 61-year-old Jon Stewart looked and sounded so tired and old, repeating tired old material from almost a decade ago. Definitely past his prime. Incredibly sad. This is, again, for me, it was like he never left. He was just as good as he ever was. I highlighted this, though. Tired old material.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
It would not be possible for Jon Stewart to repeat tired old material on The Daily Show, because The Daily Show is a satirical news show. The things that Jon Stewart says is based on the news that he is observing. So unless Joe Biden and Donald Trump were the two candidates for president 9 years ago, it's not possible for Jon Stewart to recycle old material. I would love to know, again, if
it's not John's fault we haven't progressed at all as a society. True. Have you seen like all the old clips of like, it almost feels like the same like bits could have been used today, where like Jon Stewart, where Jon Stewart is literally making bits about how you can't criticize Israel, how like basically it's impossible for American politicians to do anything but unequivocally support Israel. I mean, like he's made several bits about that. It's almost literally like you could just cut them out and publish them as if he made it today, and it would still be just the same. Currently 100+ million willing to vote for him, and sorry I forgot about religion. Honestly, I don't know if 100 million people are going to vote for him. Last time he got, what, 70-something? 73? His base is not increasing. Sorry. The only way it is tired and old is if history is literally repeating itself. Correct.
If Tim is a real person, I want direct quotes from Jon Stewart last night compared to Jon Stewart 9 years ago or 9+ years ago. Show me the repeating of the old material.
And even if that was true, that just means that we haven't really changed much, because the commentary is on events and current politics. So, yeah.
Because you will not find it. This is a completely made-up criticism that is based in nothing. Now let's get to real people. So Aaron Rupar here, who I'm not going to go too far in on here. I utilize the clips that he uses, that he shares online. So I am biased in this regard. I like Aaron, despite me disagreeing with some of the things that he has espoused on Twitter. But he wrote here, Jon Stewart still has it in terms of being funny and entertaining, but the political content of this monologue is basically the New York Times op-ed page in TV form. Both sides are not, in fact, equally bad. Again, that was not the commentary. At no point did Jon Stewart say both sides are equally bad. That wasn't my... After watching those 20 minutes, me as somebody who is not a moron did not come away thinking both sides are equally bad. Anyone engaged in politics enough to watch Jon Stewart is not going to be fooled by commentary that ignores Biden's flaws. In fact, anyone that is giving commentary that ignores Biden's flaws, those are the people that are going to have no sway at all over actual voters. Because it would become clear that, hey, you're not acknowledging reality here. Why would I listen to what you have to say? Jon Stewart, again, is laying a foundation, and part of the foundation that he's laying is also telling you, the viewer, that he is being honest here. He is willing to tell you what is going on.
Both sides. Welcome, Sharpie Diesel. Sounds like 2016 all over again. Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I'm getting like super 2016 vibes. Going into this like election cycle, like even my emotions feel the same way. Even my emotions feel the exact same way in 2016. That's not good. That's not good at all.
Going on with both of these candidates, the problems with both of them. And as he continues to develop upon that foundation with more and more episodes, it's going to become clear where he thinks the most important flaws are with both candidates. And it'll be on you, the viewer, to understand what the issues are, what the problems are, and where you are going to end up, in November. And on that point, I think it's going to become very clear, if it wasn't clear already, as it was to me last night, that Jon Stewart thinks Trump is worse. It doesn't mean that you now just ignore Biden's problems. You have to, as a commentator, you have to be willing to be honest. Because again, if you are not willing to be honest, the people that are swayable will not be swayed by you. Some more here. So one more reaction from him. Some of Stewart's jokes landed, but I would argue the message of his monologue is actually the very last thing we need right now, unless you want 4 more years of Trump. It certainly didn't inspire any.
Yeah, like, see, that's what's pretty frustrating. Like, comments like that is pretty frustrating. What are you talking about? Some of Stewart's jokes landed, but I would argue the message of the monologue is actually the very last thing we need right now, unless you want 4 more years of Trump. Yeah, and whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? It's not going to be Jon Stewart's fault, okay? As it turns out, Jon Stewart is not running Joe Biden's campaign. Jon Stewart is not a close advisor to the Biden administration, okay? Globus the Elder, welcome. Mayhem Hippie. It's not the voter's job to find a reason to vote for your candidate. It's the candidate's job to convince voters to vote for him. Correct. Look what the cat dragged in. Welcome, Mayhem Hippie. Everything is on fire, but at least we're warm. True. Here in Germany, we really got scared about his recent statements about NATO.
Anyone to vote. Again, this was the first episode. We are 9 months away, and anyone that is swayable, anyone that you can get to vote that isn't already going to vote, is not going to be fooled by Democratic talking points. Keith Olbermann here, the ultimate moron. Well, after 9 years away, there is nothing else to say to the both sides' fraud Jon Stewart bashing Biden, except please make it another 9 years. Keith Olbermann, or as I call him, Keith Stupidman.
Yeah, wow. Cool. The Supreme Court ruling, they will not stay the January 6th trial for Trump. No, but I will probably have to check that out. Was that just recent? He basically said that he wouldn't support NATO members in case they were attacked by Russia unless they funded enough money. That's not how NATO works. Pretty much sure he knows that. Yeah, also no, I don't know. I don't know if he actually knows that. It's hard to tell. Yeah.
I watched The Daily Show, obviously, last night, and I'm like, you know what? I need a crowd of laughter.
God dang it. I need a soundboard, okay? That's what I need. I need my soundboard back. That was about the last hour? Oh, okay, so it was recent.
But what a moron. Like, what is... There's nothing even here. Because again, it did not both sides anything. I swear, it's just... Whatever. I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about Keith Olbermann. Sawyer Hackett here with a good point. If you have a problem... And this guy, by the way, I believe is a Democratic strategist. Here. Consultants, has worked... Or is the senior advisor of Julian Castro. Look at that. So somebody who works with the Democratic Party. If you have a problem with Jon Stewart or with Stewart presented, if you have a problem with Stewart, I guess he means how. I read this weird. If you have a problem with how Jon Stewart presented the dynamics of this race, you have your head buried in the sand and haven't talked to a regular voter in 3 years. Great point. And this is, again, coming from the Democratic Party. Anonymous Lefty, who... This person has like no following, but I follow them and they always make good points. So Anonymous Lefty with a really wild username, again, may not even be a real person, but considering the points they make, I have to assume they're real. Says these people want him to go on a preachy monologue calling Trump Cheeto Mussolini for 20 minutes because that's what they've come to expect from liberal comedy. This, for me, yes, I read this and I was like, why didn't I like this yet? This has to be part of the problem. Jon Stewart's been gone for so long that people forgot what actual satire is. So when Jon Stewart returns and acknowledges reality as a part of his comedy, some people are offended by that. But a great point here made by Anonymous Lefty. And the last thing I want to end on here is this is straight from Jon Stewart's segment. This is right near the end of the segment. I've learned one thing over these last 9 years, and I was glib at best and probably dismissive at worst about this, which also goes to the fact that Jon Stewart has grown and changed and learned as a person. The work of making this world resemble one that you would prefer to live in is a lunch pail job, day in, day out, where thousands of committed, anonymous, smart, and dedicated people bang on closed doors and pick up those that are fallen and grind away on issues till they get a positive result. And even then, have to stay on to make sure that result holds. So the good news is I'm not saying you don't have to worry about who wins the election, which again, kind of hits the point where people are claiming both sides. He's not saying that. I'm saying you have to worry about every day before it and every day after forever. Going to the ultimate point here, that regardless of who's in charge, who's in power, if you want a better world, You have to be engaged in that world day in, day out for that to happen.
True. Anyways, heading off to bed. Good night. Welcome. Good night. Hello, Shayna. Trump thinks tariffs are paid by the company and country, not passed on to the buyers of the product. Yep, he doesn't understand. So, going off, like, on that.
Abilities to do that.
And on Rafa.
Are we just supposed to, like, continue to watch these clips and, like, say, and just not say anything? Like, I don't understand what these libs want us to do here.
But has the president ever threatened to strip military assistance from Israel if they move ahead with a Rafah operation that does not take into consequence what happens with civilians?
We're going to continue to support Israel. They have a right to defend themselves against Hamas, and we're going to continue.
This is an absurd. This is like an insane answer. Okay. This is like actually insane. This dude's literally telling us that leveling an entire place is self-defense and that we are going to support it wholeheartedly. When in reality, this is not self-defense. This is just pure ethnic cleansing.
Continue to make sure they have the tools and the capabilities to do that.
And on Rafah, has the president ever threatened to...
This is insane. And, like, the press is literally asking a very good question. Like, have you even, like, tried? Have you even, like, made a phone call? Have you even made a phone call and being like, hey, you know, this is not acceptable? And, this administration's response is, you know, we're just gonna keep letting them. They have a right to defend themselves. I don't know, man. Thank you, Mayhem Hippie. Put this over here. I wonder if the people who are serving as Biden's mouthpiece are in agreement with all his policies. I don't know. I know that within his like internal people, there have been some people that are not on board with this, but people like this guy, you know, Kirby's 100%. Yeah, I suppose so. Just the way he answers these questions. I suppose even if I suppose even if he wasn't, like, he's out there doing the same thing, right?
Does the White House think that the idea of the president taking a cognition test, a cognitive test, as a part of this physical is a legitimate idea, particularly just...
Remember, we're trying to dispel the idea that Biden has no cognitive problems, right?
On the heels of the special counsel report, more polling, as my colleague Selena just mentioned, showing that many American people have concerns about that.
Look, I got this question last week as well, and I'm just going to say what Dr. O'Connor, it's kind of what he said to me about a year ago when the report came out last year, obviously on his physical, which is the president.
There's a way to tell the more blustery and assertive the response is, the more likely they approve. Maybe. Firefly, welcome. He can't even person, woman, man, camera, TV. Whew.
It proves every day. how he operates, how he thinks, right? But by dealing with world leaders, by making really difficult decisions on behalf of the American people, whether it's domestic, whether it's national security. And so he shows it every day on how he thinks, how he operates. And so that is how Dr. O'Connor sees it, and that's how I'm going to leave it.
What do you think about the idea of taking that kind of a test?
I believe, for me, you're asking me my
Everything's fine, folks. There's nothing to see here.
personal opinion. He is sharp. He is on top of things. When we have meetings with him, with his staff, he's constantly pushing us, trying to get more information. And so that has been my experience with this president. Anything else outside of that, I just shared with you what Dr. O'Connor said to me, and so I'll just leave it there.
Cool. The king has beautiful clothes on. You peasants just can't see it. True. Everything's fine. First president in U.S. history to refuse a cognitive test. Everything's fine. I hate it when they start comments with, look, it's so condescending. True. He's coked out of his mind. Translation. Listen, everything is fine, okay? Why are you questioning? Okay? Why are you... Do you want Trump to win? Okay? Who needs cognitive tests anyways? Right?
Does the White House think that the...
Do you want Trump to win anyways? Like, who even needs cognitive tests? Right? As the world burns around me while I drink my coffee, not from Starbucks. All that Botox has frozen Biden's brain. Okay, so this is obviously a satire account. From outside the US, what people think. You have the choice of two lunatics. Who will you pick? Well, it's not just from the outside, okay? The POTUS just needs to be the mouthpiece of the war material industry. This is honestly indistinguishable from an Onion headline. We have our share of trouble north of the border. I have no idea what that means. To us, it's the Canadians. Yeah, the Canadians are a troublesome group of people. Cthulhu 24, why settle for the lesser evil? True. Redmondberry. Gila Sausage. Thank you for the follow. Canada's far more like the US than either country ever admits. I agree. Arnaldo, welcome. Way fewer mass shootings and healthcare. Yeah.
Well, folks, the Project 2025, that of course is being led by the Conservative Heritage Foundation, which is the effort to make sure that a second Donald Trump administration is packed with nothing but loyalists, it appears to finally be getting off the ground. And on February 19th and February 20th, they're holding a 2-day retreat with a bunch of people who are seeking cabinet positions in a possible Trump second term. Now, while the Heritage Foundation and, of course, Project 2025 is not necessarily putting on the event, it reeks of their involvement. Here it is. The Association of Republican Presidential Appointees will host a 2-day boot camp on February 19th and 20th to prepare potential government appointees insight into the operating context of the roles and tactics they could use to help Trump gain control over the levers of power. Here is how one Trump official explained it. They have to be resolute with their commitment to the president's vision. You weren't elected. You're a cabinet person as part of the executive branch, and your job is to understand and execute. Another former White House official said this of the 2-day boot camp. We're not going to sit around and wait for the Senate, which is very, very divided and not even in the hands of conservatives, to get things done. Things will be happening even before Inauguration Day. According to the report, allies are working to...
Yikes. Thank you for the follow, Arnaldo. Plenty of holes in the Canadian healthcare that will only get worse with MAID. I was confused as to why I wasn't following already. That's all good. Yeah, it looks like they're really using MAID to get undesirables to euthanize themselves. Sheesh. Yikes.
weed out those that would employ subterfuge to thwart Trump's plans, and the former president's fixation on loyalty has settled over the entire Republican Party. So what they're doing is they're holding this little 2-day boot camp next week, Monday and Tuesday, and they're going to weed people out. They're going to make sure that, hey, you want a job in this guy's second administration. Cool enough. What if he comes in and says, hey, I want to use the military on the streets of the United States. I want to have the army marching down the streets of Chicago, putting people in a real police state. Now, I'm not allowed to do that according to the law, so what are you going to tell me when I tell you I'm going to do that? If the answer is anything other than, yes, sir, right on it, then thank you. Here's
Yikes.
the door. Good.
Yeah, our politically viewed opposition. Medical assistance in dying. Oh, okay. Got it. Canada started as a corporation and became a country full of frightened conservatives, but America started a bunch of frightening conservatives and became beholden to corporations. A fancy word for assisted suicide. Canada started as a corporation and became a country full of frightened conservatives, but America started by a bunch of frightened conservatives and became beholden to corporations. Yep. Why would you want a police state? I don't know. A lot of people seem to think that, well, not a lot of people, I should say. Enough people seem to think that that's a good idea to be very disturbing.
Bye. That's what this is. This is an extension of that Project 2025. They want to make sure that every single person, from the housekeepers all the way up to the chiefs of staff, that every one of these people will be a spineless yes person for Donald Trump. So if he comes in and tells them, break the law to do this, go punish this political enemy of mine, go punish this media outlet, he will not meet a single person that will tell him no along the way. And he will have the lawyers in place at the DOJ. He will have the yes people in place to where they will make it legal by whatever means necessary. They're not going to worry about Congress. They're not going to worry about the Senate. They're not going to worry about the courts. They're going to do whatever the hell they want to do and probably face no repercussions for it whatsoever. This is why this year's election is so important. I understand that plenty of you do not like President Biden.
Trump is already trying to dismantle the messed up checks and balances with this immunity crap. Yeah, 100%. I also just turned 26 and my health insurance is $900 a month and I'll probably just have to pay out of pocket because it was the cheapest option. Jesus Christ. It's not a good idea because the proletariat would suffer and productivity would plummet. Yeah, also, like, why would they want to, why would the government want all of you dead? That seems very weird. And this comment also seems very weird. I'm seeing my country become a wreck, crime rising insanely, high price for places to live. I saw family live in a container by a clothes store. That sounds like a capitalism problem. What you're describing is issues with capitalism, and the repercussions are fallout of living under a capitalist system. And it's not just inflation. It would be more likely become work camps for those that oppose the MAGA views and attempt to fight it.
You dislike his policy, his foreign policy, which I understand completely. Trust me, I'm not cheerleading it at all. Never have. But when you look at what this other side is doing, how can you look at President Biden and say, oh, I'm going to spite you? That makes no sense to me. You're literally putting your friends, your family, your brothers and sisters in harm's way. How dare you, is what I say to that. How dare you? We have actual, real action on the other side, on the right.
That's true. However, at what point do we keep playing this song and dance? You know, and quite frankly, how do you tell the, for example, how do you tell the Palestinian American constituency? How do you tell the Muslim American constituency? You know, that you should vote for Biden? Like, how do you... Like, we're at a crossroads here. Like, what do we do? Because you can't really, like, it's out of pocket to tell someone like a Palestinian American that you should vote for Biden, right? And you may try to pitch the idea, and if they say, well, you know, obviously, look at what's happening with this genocide, I just can't do it. I mean, what can you do at that point, right? Yeah, vote shaming is not going to work. Correct. Vote shaming is not going to work. And you know what? If people stay home, that's on Biden. If people stay home, that's on Biden. Does that make sense? I completely understand what Farron is saying, but it's incumbent upon the Democrats to make people want to vote for them at some point. You know, if we keep playing this song and dance, so we should all agree that we want a good life without suffering. The way to do that is not with more control and punishment, is to address the suffering as soon as it's detected. I mean, ideally, yeah, you want to kind of always hit the root causes, right? MAGA will pass state and federal mandates and laws that impose criminal punishments to those that oppose MAGA in any way. It's a textbook from the Nazi playbook. Neighbors will turn to neighbors out of fear. Oh, I don't doubt. I'm not gonna downplay the reality. I'm not gonna downplay the reality of what a Trump presidency means. I understand that the authoritarian tendencies are going to be there. It may be on Biden for not inspiring it. It's on us when Trump wins because we get to deal with the consequences. Mayhem, what I think will happen if Trump is elected, he will take revenge on everybody who spoke badly about him once he was gone, which means Canada and a lot of other countries, including people within the country. That is not doubtful. Look at overturning Roe versus Wade. They're going to test boundaries and push them and topple some. Oh, I don't disagree. I mean, they're telegraphing this. They're literally telling you what's going to happen should they happen to win the election.
To make sure that that man, that former reality TV show host, can act like a dictator in this country, taking away your rights and mine. Now, Biden may not be as sharp as he used to be. That's a given. His foreign...
The first 180 days will be chaos, absolute shit flinging. Yeah.
Policy.
And this is what's being put on the line. I think what recent years have divided so many different camps is, and it was into politicians' playbook to pit us all against one another. Or, I don't know, the only people who are being incredibly divisive, I think, are the far right. If you want the least amount of suffering and minimize suffering, how do you choose with the options that are presented? That's a very good question, right? Because I don't want genocide, right? But you're gonna get genocide with regardless who wins, right? You're gonna get genocide regardless of who wins. Just someone pretends that they're gonna try to be nicer about it than the other. I despise Biden, however, I walk in my head in shame and put my vote in because, dear Lord, I'm scared shitless of 4 more years of Trump, and the DNC knows this fact. Right, and, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, vote shame, and that argument is completely valid. I understand the threat that's being put in front of us. I'm angry because the Democrats are putting us in a position, again, that no one wants to be in. The shitty saying is asking for us to help kick down the count one more term, just like we've already done for the last how many decades how many decades every prior election for what? The Dems are Dems to do nothing with it yet again and stop the further slide to the right. Hell, the Dems are helping facilitate the slide faster. This is coming to a head sooner than later. Yeah, at some point, you know, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I'm angry too. This is a shit show. We are all angry, yes. And we should be. This wasn't even supposed to be the plan. We weren't even supposed, this entire conversation and this entire discourse, this entire video, this entire election, this wasn't supposed to happen. We didn't even need to be put in this position. Okay? From the beginning, we were told that Biden was supposed to be a one-time president. He was supposed to be a transitory president. Okay? It was incumbent upon the Democratic Party to have this prepared and planned so that now we would be in the midst of a open primary, fighting it out, duking it out. That's what needs to be happening right now. In an alternate reality, right now we would be fighting in a open primary. I think in both our countries, we are stuck in a corner. Alvin Joel's come in without listening at all and go, Biden sucks. Yeah, we know.
He is bad, to say the least. But when you stack him up next to Donald Trump, there is not a comparison, folks. There really isn't. A couple years ago, I'm right there with you, right? I'm a lesser of two evil thing is stupid. We shouldn't do this vote blue no matter who stuff. Let's get real progressive. Let's get progress. And I still push for that shit.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, man, I disagree. It's always going to be this way. What do you mean?
But I also understand as I've gotten a little bit older that sometimes you do have to suck it up. Okay? And I think there's too many people on the left that refuse to suck it up, that say, you know what? No, that's a deal breaker for me. I'll just let Trump take over and then the whole country can go to hell and then you'll...
But wait. But here's another question. Oh, Biden 2 terms? Oh. Well, that's not what he told us. Meanwhile, climate is bearing down on us hard with time running out fast. We're hyper-focused on consumed with this election and politics madness like nothing else is going around us. That's true. That's true. That hasn't gone away. Wanting the least amount of suffering, I cannot stand behind any of these options. We have to prepare now. We need to accept that this is happening since the power does not want to minimize suffering and seek other options. So what is the best way to prepare? Honestly, like, listen, there are some good reasons to show up to the ballot, okay? There are some good reasons to use that toolbox, because at the end of the day, electoral politics, all it is a tool. And there are some good reasons. There may be ballot initiatives that are preserving rights in your state. Like, for example, they're fighting right now to get a ballot initiative to try to protect reproductive rights in Florida. So there are reasons to show up, okay? There are local politicians and local elections that are important. Those are avenues that you can take. Oh, you're not even in the U.S. Okay, so then just ignore that. Then build parallel structures, mutual aid. Since when did you start taking Democrats at face value? It's not so much at face value. It's like, okay, so you're not, so in other words, they're just liars. So why am I even backing up this party then? First time in 120 years our area didn't have snow in the first 12 days of February, but unless we can elect leaders that truly represent our interests, we remain on the we're effed ballot. Well, yes. Also, so hold on, I'm responding to this comment. Also, hey, here's two things. Either, if the left actually does matter, and is so influential, that we are capable of torpedoing Biden's presidency, wouldn't it be then incumbent upon the Biden campaign to maybe kind of listen to the people who may or may not be able to torpedo his election? And if we can't torpedo his election, then, like, why is the biggest issue us anyways? The Democrats will always promise you whatever they feel will provoke the least resistance to their will. Yeah, that's like the job of every politician, but you gotta deliver on some of these things, right? Like, I'm hoping I'm making sense here. Okay, so can we discuss how Biden is trying to circumvent and forgive some student debt? Yeah, he did. And that's good. And I'm sure that there's going to be some real impact to the people that affects. At least if we had a strong party that was touting radical policies that will facilitate a dramatic shift to address climate, then it would make at least sense, some at least coherent sense to get all behind the party. No, they don't, when they always have the Trump card. If you don't listen to us, then you'll get them. Man, what are they going to do when Trump is gone? They put an MD Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah, but she's not Trump, you know. She's not Trump. They'll get Tucker to run? I doubt it.
We'll see how you like it. Fun fact, a lot of those people who say that are living in nice little blue states, where you're not living under the yoke of oppression from a Republican governor, are you? I am. I've seen it firsthand. My family has personally experienced it firsthand. And I wouldn't dare wish that on somebody else by letting Donald Trump retake the reins at the White House. You haven't lived under that in your safe little blue state.
I've lived in both red states. I say that because everything else is meaningless. If human society collapses, genocide will be the least of humanity's worries, as messed up as that is to state. Yeah, that's true. Because, like, you know, it makes no difference, right? It makes no difference if our entire ecosystems fail. Doesn't really matter at that point, right? Just because Biden or Trump does occasional good deed does not make them trustworthy, or people that will do what is best for the people. I live in my only red county in my very blue state led by a red governor. It's a freaking head trip.
But you will if you let this happen. So take it from the people who are telling you from experience, you don't want this. So suck it up. You may not get the choice that you want in this year's election, and yeah, that does suck. So fight harder and do better next time. But for now, we got to suck it up. Because this is not a lesser of two evils moment. This is a generationally evil individual on the right who has the potential to destroy this country. And I'm damn sure not going to let that happen.
Yeah, dude. And unfortunately, that's not the way you're going to get people to affect or to listen to you. Also, secondly, again, either we have either the left is strong enough that they could torpedo the entire campaign, in which case, shouldn't the Biden campaign be then more acquiescent, or we don't matter? And if we don't matter, then like why are we getting ish for this? You know? You see the hate in this guy's eyes? He's just angry. He thinks he's standing up for less fortunate people. I get that. I get that. And I get that argument. Because he's right. Trump is objectively worse. The issue is, like, people are tired of doing this, man. So long as we're playing this game, there's never any incentive to change. Does that make sense? So long as we're doing the same song and dance, there's no incentive to change. What incentive does the Democratic Party have to do something? In an ideal world, we would get that, but don't forget, many were burned by what the DNC did to Bernie. Yeah. Red county, red state, even though I'm in a big city, the conservatism is strong here. I'm sorry. I came from Florida. I came from Florida and I live in a pretty, it might be considered a swing state. Biden doesn't care if Trump wins. If he did, he'd be doing better at minimum, not genociding Gaza. He has no incentive to care. That's the problem. I'm in a red county in New York. That's the issue. Because if we keep playing the song and dance, what incentive does the Democratic Party have? Trudeau is bankrupting us, financing Ukraine nonstop, and driving us into the void. Yeah, I don't know. Trudeau has a lot of problems. I have a feeling we disagree as to which those problems are. I barely believe Biden is better than Trump after the last couple of months. Yeah, that's the issue. So, like, what exactly, like, we need something, okay? And, the fact of the matter is, this is very, 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 precarious. Because what the Democratic Party is doing is effectively acting as a turnkey. Right now, the U.S. has two far-right parties and will not change unless enough people protest in a way the power understands the protest by hurting their pockets. I don't even know, like, I don't even would say as far as, like, saying that the Democratic Party is a far-right party. They're not. They're just liberals. They're neo-libs, okay? That's the issue. You do realize what they do to protesters here, at least the left side of the protesters. Dems are center-right at best. Yeah. They're literally just neo-libs, most of them. Human beings are not designed to be in near constant state of fear and stress. People can't live in a society that's perpetually like this. That's true. That's true. At some point, something's got to give. And this is not acceptable. This is just not acceptable from the Democratic Party, at the very least. Anyways. This is what Mayhem Hippie was talking about. Trump asked justices to intervene in the January 6th case. 4 days after the justices heard oral arguments in his quest to be restored to the ballot in Colorado, former President Trump was back at the Supreme Court asking the justices to temporarily block a decision by a federal appeals court holding that he can be tried on criminal charges that he conspired to overturn the 2020 election. In a 39-page filing on Monday afternoon, Trump argued that without immunity from criminal prosecution, the presidency as we know it will cease to exist, and complaining of an unprecedented and unacceptable departure from ordinary appellate procedures by U.S. Court of Appeals and the District of Columbia Circuit, Trump asked the Supreme Court to freeze the lower court's ruling, not only to give him time to seek review of that ruling in the Supreme Court, but also to allow him to ask the full D.C. court to weigh in a maneuver that would further delay the proceedings even if the Supreme Court were ultimately rule against him. Despite the dispute over Trump's immunity from prosecution is one with which the justices are already very familiar. In late December, they turned down a request from the special counsel to decide quickly without waiting for a federal appeals court to weigh in whether Trump has immunity. Smith argued that it was of paramount importance that Trump's claim of immunity must be resolved as expeditiously as possible, but the justices opted instead to allow the Trump's appeal to play out in the D.C. court, which heard oral arguments January 9th and issued its decision February 6th. The D.C. court's decision rejecting Trump's claim of immunity came from a unanimous three-judge panel made up of 2 judges appointed by Biden and a judge appointed by H.W. In a 57-page opinion, the panel rebutted Trump's claim that he cannot be prosecuted for his official acts as president. It explained that Trump's stance would collapse their system of separate powers by placing the president beyond the reach of all 3 branches. We cannot accept that the office of presidency places its former occupants above the law for all time. Essentially. The panel similarly declined to accept Trump's contention under that constitution. A former president can be prosecuted on criminal charges only if he's impeached by the House and convicted by the Senate. While Trump was acquitted by the Senate, the Constitution specifies the penalties that can be imposed if an official is convicted. The Court of Appeals stressed, such as a removal from office and bar on holding future office, and it makes clear that the limited consequences of impeachment did not immunize convicted officers from criminal prosecution, but it does not mean that officials who are not convicted cannot be prosecuted. The Dems say that they're center, but as long as they support genocide and the treatment of its own people as poor as it is, then it is far right. Yeah, I don't know if I would describe the ideology of the Democratic Party as far right. Because the juxtaposition is the Republican Party is literally threatening. It's literally threatening to consolidate power in such a way that is deeply authoritarian and is deeply nationalistic, and it's very obvious that it's on also the basis of xenophobic it's on preconceived notions of xenophobia, because the whole idea of Trump's plan, again, doesn't matter if he actually can or will execute it. The point is he's running on this type of shit, he's running on the idea that immigration is a problem. We're being invaded by the southern border, and his solution is to create essentially an authoritarian state where he's able to, in his mind, just call up and take command of Red State National Guard and go on this massive deportation scheme where he can march National Guard troops into wherever he wants, round up people, put them in camps, and start deporting them en masse. Yeah, just because Trump is more worse, does that make Biden not a fascist? Well, fascism is very clear. When you evaluate the ideology of the Republican Party, the rhetoric, when you evaluate the rhetoric, the stances, the policies that the Republicans uphold or believe in, it's very clear that we are not dealing with just like normal conservatism. We're dealing with the end game of conservatism, where at this point the Republican Party is a fascist party. There's no doubt in my mind that's what we're dealing with. This is not new. This is not new. Versus the typical neo-lib party, Biden is not limiting rights of citizens or political rivals based on his beliefs, political or religious. Yeah, like, I mean, you really need to, like, listen to the type of stuff that, the action is horrible. Yeah, you need to listen to what the Republicans are attempting to, normalize, if they were to have their way. The Constitution's double jeopardy. The Constitution's double jeopardy clause, the panel continued, also does not bar Trump's prosecution. Trump had contended that he cannot be criminally prosecuted because he was impeached for similar or closely related conduct but acquitted by the Senate. This has nothing to do with actual criminal charges. If you were impeached, this is a procedural thing that happens in government. This is not a criminal trial. The double jeopardy clause, the panel emphasized, is intended for multiple criminal prosecutions, which is not the case here. Exactly. He's also not undermining the very system of our country is built off to serve himself. The U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkin had originally set a March 4 trial date for Trump's case, but last week she threw out that date and indicated she would set a new one if and when Trump's immunity claims are resolved. Under the Supreme Court's rule, Trump had 90 days to file his petition of the review of the D.C. Court's decision, but the Court of Appeals signaled that they expect him to move much faster, indicating that the decision would go into effect February 12th, unless he went to the Supreme Court by then. Trump came to the court on Monday afternoon seeking a stay of the D.C. Court's decision. The appeals court ruling that Trump is not immune from prosecution was, he wrote, a stunning breach of precedent and historical norms. If it is allowed to stand, he warned, it will unleash destructive cycles of recrimination so that the threat of future prosecutions will hang like a millstone over every future president's neck, distorting presidential decision-making, undermining the president's independence, and clouding the president's ability to deal with fearlessly and impartially with duties of his office. Moreover, Trump added if he is required to stand trial at the height of the election season, it would radically disrupt his ability to campaign, which again, that sounds like a you problem. Therefore, he concluded the D.C. Court's ruling poses a threat to both his own First Amendment and the rights of those of tens of millions of Americans who insisted are entitled to hear his campaign message as they decide, yeah, listen, bro, you know, the people that are already going to vote for him are already going to vote for him. Just as he did in opposing the Supreme Court review in December, Trump cautioned the justices against moving too quickly. He suggested that allowing him to seek reconsideration of the panel's decision would provide an opportunity for thoughtful yada, 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 whatever. The Trump's request will go to the first to the Chief Justice, who handles emergency appeals from the D.C. Court. On Tuesday morning, the court on Tuesday morning directed Smith to file his response by 4 p.m. February 20th. Once that response has been filed, Roberts and almost certainly the rest of the court could either treat Trump's request as an application of a stay for the D.C. Circuit's decision as he billed it, or they could treat it as a petition for review of the lower court's decision more broadly. I mean, you know, all of this is desperation. All of this is an act of desperation. Because, like, if you had the facts to exonerate yourself, you wouldn't be attacking and delaying the process. Okay? 20 more months till we get our next federal election, barring a vote of no confidence or political trickery. The problem is people won't vote for Trump over Biden. If they aren't already for Trump, they won't show up. Voter apathy is a huge part. Yeah, that's the issue. The issue is that people are going to stay home. They're going to look at this and go, no, not again. No more. People are going to look at this and go, you know, we played this song and dance. I'm staying home, okay? That's the issue. Like, I don't think that people are just going to randomly flip for Trump. That's not the issue. Trump's voting base is pretty, like, it's pretty reliably known. Does that make sense? I think Gen Z is going to surprise us all. You know, it may be the case. I don't know. I have a feeling Trump's going to win, too. People aren't going to show up for Biden. They need a different candidate like yesterday. It's a possibility. It's a very real possibility. It's It's a very real possibility. I think Gen Z is going to surprise. I maybe. I don't know. You know, they turned out to vote last time, and I think many voters will turn out of fear. Maybe. Or maybe a lot of voters will say, nah. That's the issue. If you ask me, I don't know if we're gonna have the same amount of turnout this election cycle. 2020 was a unprecedented turnout. 2020 was unprecedented in terms of turnout. We're talking about like once in 100 years type turnout. Quite literally. Not enough to win the Electoral College. All right, but if Trump wins, I'm out of here. Canada's right there for me. I mean, if you can, peace out. You know. If you have that option. Wisconsin lawmakers adopt new legislative map that could undo gerrymandering. Look at that. Wisconsin lawmakers voted on Tuesday today to adopt legislative maps drawn by the Democratic governor, Tony Evers, inching the state closer to undoing the extreme gerrymandering that has ensured Republican control of the state for more than a decade. The pair of votes in the Republican-dominated state assembly and state senate are a sign that the years-long battle over Wisconsin's legislative maps have finally drawn to a close, giving Democrats a chance to win control of the state legislature in the upcoming elections for the first time since 2012. The vote is the result of the December ruling from Wisconsin Supreme Court that the current state assembly and Senate maps are unconstitutional, ordering the state to adopt new legislative maps before the 2024 election and setting a mid-March deadline. Republicans and Democratic lawmakers, the governor, and multiple third-party groups submitted revised maps for the court to consider. And in a February 1st report, consultants hired by the court to review them said the GOP-drawn maps maintain the partisan gerrymander and do not deserve further consideration. The maps submitted by Democrats retained a Republican advantage, the consultants found, but to a much reduced degree. Landom Lazy Lizard Lounge, welcome. In Sweden, we have about a 90% election attendance. Yeah, that's like not a thing here. Democrats in both chambers overwhelmingly voted against the bill after a failed attempt to send it back to the committee for review, alleging that because the bill would not go into effect until 2024, it was designed to protect Republicans like Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, who is currently facing a recall attempt. We should let the Supreme Court continue to do its job to put in place a fair map in just a couple of weeks, said the Democratic Senator Mark Spreitzer. The maps will still need to be signed by Evers to go into effect. Evers previously signaled that he would sign the legislation if it came to his desk. A Marquette University researcher, John Johnson, found the Evers map still gives Republicans a slight edge at retaining their legislative majorities, but to a much narrower margin than current maps. By accepting Evers' map, Republicans avoid rolling the dice on a court-drawn map that could be less favorable to them. The court will likely pick one of the three maps, said Republican Senator David Lamau. We're going to end the sham litigation and pass the governor's map. The fight was set in motion when liberal judge Janet Protasiewicz won the state Supreme Court, giving liberals a majority on the court for the first time for more than a decade. Protasiewicz had telegraphed her views on the Republican gerrymandering during the election, calling the maps rigged, and Republican legislators spent months threatening to impeach her if she didn't recuse herself from the case, but dropped the issue after consulting with the former Supreme Court justice, who recommended against pursuing impeachment. Wisconsin's current legislative map drawn by Republicans are among the most gerrymandered in the country. The GOP in Wisconsin has strong majorities in both houses and state legislature, holding nearly twice as many seats as Democrats in the Assembly and Senate, even though the statewide races are often decided by razor-thin margins. These new maps will erase much of that partisan advantage. So, hey, that's cool. Protasiewicz, I believe. Close enough. It is possible that as long as you make every school, church, library, and local gathering place into a place to vote, then have the election on a Sunday. Yeah, but we don't care about all that. There have been specific targeted efforts to make sure that the less places and the harder it is, and the less early voting days, the better for Republicans. We're going to fly through some of these headlines because I got to get moving. Judge in the Trump election case moves forward with the misconduct hearing, saying the DA's disqualification possible if evidence warrants. So apparently the DA, Fani Willis, is currently being reviewed because there's some kind of conflict of interest. And essentially, she is now facing a possibility for being disqualified. Again, even if she does get removed, it's not going to change a thing. You know, Trump can try to delay this. Trump can try to play and I'm speaking about like Trump's defense team. You know, Trump can try to delay this and play these procedural games all he wants, but at the end of the day, this trial is going to happen. You know, there's no conflict. There's just a review. Right. This is a hearing, and even if she does get removed, it doesn't matter. You know, Trump can play these procedural games. At the end of the day, this is going to be duked out in trial, and this has no bearing on the merits of the case itself. We will continue to, you know, keep tabs on what's happening with this Georgia case, arguably one of the more important ones. You know, even if it is to be found that she needs to be removed, another prosecutor will just take her place, you know? If she has to stand down, there'll be someone just as competent to take over. I'm sure they're just going to put another prosecutor, you know? This is just procedural games. This is the exact thing that I was saying. This is signs of desperation because you're trying to delay in hopes that you throw a Hail Mary and these trials don't get resolved before the election. You win the election and then you get to try to declare some type of immunity while you're president and escape consequences for as long as possible. That's what the name of the game is here. So this one, we're going to take like 5 seconds. They're going to, the House GOP is going to try to impeach Mayorkas again, because of reasons. She's very competent, will get Trump convicted if she's allowed to continue. I mean, she's made a lot of them already plead guilty. She's got a handful. And, you know, again, even if it's not her, she can pass that case docket to the next person. Don't matter. So after failing to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas for not doing his job at the border, despite rejecting a very deal that Democrats somehow decided to serve the Republicans on a silver platter, they're going to try to impeach him again. Is it going to work? I don't know. Is there even like a point? No, because they're not going to convict him in the Senate. This is going nowhere. Based on nonsense, and this is a dog and pony show, or a what is it? A kangaroo court is what this says. This is Republicans pretending to do something to satiate or throw red meat at the base. That's all this is. The border deal is another evidence that Biden is a fascist. Fresh blood in the water to keep them hyped up. That's the thing. Like, fascism is a very it's a specific ideology. And as horrible as Biden is, I just don't. I don't want to degrade fascism. Does that make sense? I did love the Magateers over the border wall and the convoy. Yeah, the convoy that found that came to Eagle Pass or whatever, and and didn't find anybody, and we're all completely confused as to why they were there. Yeah. Actually, it's to appease Trump because he's still sore about being impeached twice. Yeah, that makes sense. So I remember a while ago, and by a while ago, I mean, like, not that long ago, the Nebraska governor who was like, man, F them kids, and was going to reject federal funding for food benefits for kids. Yeah, it turns out that's not very popular, so they kind of backpedaled on that. That's basically the TLDR on this, okay? You know, it turns out that actually being public about the idea of rejecting federal funding to feed kids was very unpopular. It turns out that that's the case. That you being incredibly public and announcing to your constituents that, do kids really need to eat anyways? It turns out that that's highly unpopular. To the point where even Republicans had to kind of, it was way too public. It was way too public. So at the end of the day, he ended up having to reverse course on that. So hey, that's good. Yeah, who knew? Apparently threatening to starve children, not popular. Michigan Republican loses committee post for sharing racist theory online. A Republican Michigan politician had been stripped off his office, staff, and committee assignments after sharing a social media post by the racist Great Replacement theory about coordinated efforts to diminish the influence of white people through immigration and low birth rates, i.e., the Jewish, the Jewish question, essentially. Shocker, yeah, I know. The Republican, hey, Mouselander. The Republican representative, Josh Shiver, state representative, had his privileges removed, but will still be able to vote, so a slap in the wrist. The decision came a week after Shriver, the first-term lawmaker, uploaded a picture that depicted black figures covering most of the map of the world, with white figures in small areas like Australia, Canada, North Europe, and the northern U.S. The bottom graphic read, "The Great Replacement," which was originally posted by the Nazi and far-right pundit Jack Posobiec. Yes, a far-right pundit reposted by on Twitter by this clown. In a statement to the Detroit News last week, Shriver said he loved all of God's offspring. Tough. F does that even mean? And believed everyone's immense value is rooted in the price of Christ paid on the cross. This is not explaining the racism, dude. You're not beating these racism accusations. I'm thinking America's a side quest. Look over here is much more important. That will lead to nowhere. Maybe. I mean, it's red meat for the base, right? Like, look what we're doing. However, he then went to repeat the elements of the Great Replacement theory. What I find strange is the agenda to demoralize and reducing the white portion of our population. That's not inclusive, and Christ is inclusive. I'm glad Tucker and Jack Posobiec are sharing links so I can continue my research on these issues. Oh man, yeah, phenomenal, cool. Yeah, wow. The Great Replacement theory has been often cited as a motive for perpetrators of mass violence, including the white shooter who carried out the 2022 mass shooting of black shoppers in the Buffalo supermarket, the 2018 Tree of Life synagogue shooting, the 2019 Poway, California synagogue massacre, the 2019 El Paso Walmart shooting, which targeted Latinos. After Shriver posted the image, Michigan's Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer condemned him and the failure of the Republican leaders in not condemning the material. Of course not, because they believe in it. Wow, I joined in the wrong time. Walter. I'm opposed to racist, race baiters, and victim politics while doing all of these. Phenomenal. It is a failure of leadership for this kind of action to take place unchecked by the leaders of the Representative Shriver's caucus, and the longer there's no action taken, the more responsibility the leadership bears. 100%, but the issue here is that they actually don't care. The decision to revoke Shriver's privileges, Tate said Michigan's legislative house would not be allowed to become a forum for the proliferation of racist, hateful, and bigoted speech. Tate added that the lawmaker had a history of promoted debunked theories, and dangerous rhetoric that jeopardizes the safety of Michigan residents and contributes to a hostile and uncomfortable environment for others. Yeah, I can take a guess at what that type of history of post that he's talking about may or may not have to do with some group of Germans from the 1920s. Yeah. I work now. Thanks for entertaining my drive. No problem. Thank you. Heat with the 10 biddies. Thank you. I appreciate that. You can listen to when they're saying and they see what they're doing. What they do is not minimize suffering. I appreciate that, Shana. Among the privileges and assignments, Shriver will lose a committee on natural resources, environment and tourism, and outdoor recreation, as well as a single staff member and a $132,000 office budget. But some Republican legislators came to his defense, of course. State Representative Maddock said to Shriver he was a great man without a racist bone in his body, even though he has a history. I'm thinking that the dangerous and debunked rhetoric, or dangerous rhetoric and debunked theories are just fucking Nazi shit. If I had to place a bet, who would emerge stronger than the woke leadership's punishment? Yeah, he has black friends, I'll bet. But at least two other local Republicans did not move to condemn Shriver. Representative Donnie Steele said lawmakers must speak out against hate whenever it rears its ugly head, and Senator John Damoose said Shriver's post had nothing to do with conservative or American ideals. Oh, but they do. But they do. Such ideas truly have no place in our politics or culture. By now our nation should know better. But you're part of the problem, my dude. Your party is literally the only party that does this shit, okay? Your party has consistently been the only one that does this shit. They're low-key admitting that America is in fact a racist country. Correct. Because the implication is we should know better, so therefore we are still making these mistakes. Yeah, you're right. The implication here is that we just should know better in the year 2024. Anyways, this is a complete lie. This has everything to do with conservative and American ideals. This is a complete farce. Do not be mistaken or do not be fooled by the doublespeak. This is literally just in line with mainstream conservatism nowadays. Okay. Get ready for more of this when Trump wins. Not if, when. The mask will fly off. Yep. It could be 30-24 and we still wouldn't know better. One can dream. All right, folks, I gotta get going. It's that time. It's that time. Like taking a page out of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Just accuse the other side of the horrors you are yourself doing. You think humanity will survive that long? That's a good point. Good to see everyone. Thanks as always. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that. Long time no see. Mask is kind of already off. Trump's human suit is coming loose. Thank you all. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for modding the chat. Please, again, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. Spread the word. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Join the Discord. Keep up with the channel. You know, like I was saying at the beginning of the stream. The second Saturday after this, there'll be movie night. Mouselander, Arnaldo with the 10 biddies as well. Thank you. I appreciate it. My headphones keep turning off. No problem. I see what you did there. Conscious Canuck. Sharpie Diesel, thank you for hanging out. Good to see you all. Indeed, thank you for all your support. Thank you for the biddies, the follows, everything. Again, spread the word. We're here Monday to Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Join the Discord. Like the stream on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us here on Twitch. Do all the awesome social media stuff. Consider checking out the merch store as always, folks. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya! Hang tight, everybody. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.